Walter's life had been quiet for years. Then came the day he didn't return from his walk. Hours passed, the road lay empty, until a flash of gold appeared in the distance. What that golden retriever was about to do would change everything and save a life. Walter Briggs had grown used to silence. It wasn't just the kind of silence you get when the wind pauses or the neighbors close their doors. It was the kind of silence that takes root in a home, sits in the chair opposite yours at dinner, and follows you into bed when you turn out the light. Willow Creek, Montana was the kind of town where the seasons moved slow, and people waved from their porches. But Walter's porch had been still for 6 long years, ever since Margaret passed away. There had been music in this house once, Margaret's voice humming old hymns over the sound of coffee cups clinking, the smell of bread baking in the oven. Walter's favorite memory was watching her in the garden, hair pinned back, a straw hat tilted low, humming as she coaxed roses to bloom in stubborn Montana soil. Now the roses still bloomed, but the garden was quiet. The house was quiet. Walter had learned to live with it. But Walter didn't know. The quiet he had accepted was about to be broken in the gentlest way possible. Each morning, Walter packed a cloth bag with a few scraps. His neighbors thought it was just for exercise, but the truth was, someone was waiting for him. Half a mile out, by a weathered fence, a golden retriever always appeared. Male. No collar, no tag. His coat was sun-worn and dusty. The first time Walter saw him, the dog had been digging for food near the ditch. Walter stopped, tore an apple in half and tossed a piece toward him. The dog didn't run. He sniffed cautiously, stepped forward, and took it gently. The next day, Walter brought bread, then chicken bones. Before long, the dog would wag his tail when Walter approached. Walter named him Sonny, because when the evening light touched his coat, it glowed like old gold. Some friendships don't begin with words. They begin with trust, built one small kindness at a time. Walter began talking to Sonny more than he realized, about his knee that ached in the cold, about the stubborn garden roses, about how different the house felt without Margaret. Sonny didn't answer, but he listened. And in a town where Walter felt invisible, it mattered that someone was listening. Sometimes Walter thought Sonny looked like he belonged somewhere once. His eyes held a depth that spoke of loyalty and patience. The way he lingered near the fence but never crossed told Walter there was a story there, but one Sonny couldn't tell. One July morning, the Montana sky was clear and blue. Walter packed cornbread and an apple, stepped from his porch, and started down the familiar dusty road. When he reached the fence, Sonny wasn't there. He frowned, set the food on the post, and waited. There was only the hum of grasshoppers in the tall grass. "Chasing rabbits today, are you?" he muttered with a faint smile as he turned toward home. The curve in the road was always tricky. Winter had left loose gravel scattered there. Walter's boot slipped. His cane jolted sideways. His ankle twisted hard. Pain shot up his leg like fire. His hip slammed against the gravel. His cane rolled just out of reach. Walter tried to move, but pain locked his leg. The road stretched empty in both directions. The sun bore down hotter. Minutes crawled by. Walter called out, but his voice cracked and fell into the open air. In Willow Creek, the road was always quiet. Too quiet. And on this day, every second that passed was 1 second closer to disaster. At first, it was the faint tap of paws on gravel. Then a golden blur appeared at the edge of his vision. Sonny. He trotted up, head low, ears pricked, eyes scanning Walter's face and twisted leg. "Good boy," Walter whispered weakly. Sonny sniffed Walter's hand, then barked sharply once, twice. He stepped back, tail stiff, looking down the road, his muscles tensed. And then he ran. No one else was coming. If help didn't arrive soon, this road might be the last thing Walter ever saw. Sonny seemed to understand that, and he was running as if the whole world depended on it. Walter's head swam. The heat pressed heavier. In the distance, barking grew louder. Then came the sound of an engine. Jake Turner had driven this road his whole life. That morning, hauling feed, he noticed something strange. A golden retriever racing toward him, barking at his truck, glancing back as if to say, "Follow me." Jake slowed. Sonny ran ahead, then back toward the truck. Jake pulled over. "All right, boy, show me." Sonny led him around the bend, toward the ditch. There lay Walter. Jake dropped to his knees. "Walter, can you hear me?" Walter stirred faintly. "Sonny brought you." Jake gripped his shoulder. "Hang on, we've got you." He called 911, urgent. Sonny pressed his body against Walter's arm, whining softly. If Jake had driven by just 30 seconds later, the story of Walter Briggs might have ended right there on that quiet road. But fate and a loyal golden retriever had other plans. The ambulance arrived quickly for Willow Creek. Medics lifted Walter onto a stretcher. Sonny barked once, sharp, then circled the stretcher anxiously. One medic paused. "Yours?" Walter's voice was faint but sure. "He is now." Sonny leapt into the ambulance, curling beside Walter. Walter woke in the hospital to soft light filtering through the curtains. His hip ached, his leg was braced, but he was alive. At the foot of his bed lay Sonny, golden head resting on his paws. Jake came by that afternoon, telling how Sonny had run for help as if his own life depended on it. Walter listened quietly, hand resting on Sonny's back. Sometimes the smallest friendship becomes the biggest lifeline. Recovery was slow. Sonny became a fixture at the hospital. Nurses brought him water. Patients stopped to pet him. Sonny seemed to know when Walter was in pain. He'd rest his head gently on Walter's arm, his warm presence grounding him. Walter often thought of Margaret those days, how she used to say, "Love comes back to you in the ways you least expect." Weeks later, Walter returned home, but not alone. Sonny walked beside him, tail swaying. Now he slept by Walter's bed, followed him to the porch, and lay in the grass by the rocking chair. The townsfolk noticed. Some stopped to greet Sonny, scratching his ears. Others brought treats. Sonny accepted it all, but stayed close to Walter. One evening, Jake visited. The porch light glowed warm in the dusk. "You know," he said, "I think he's been looking out for you longer than you think." Walter smiled faintly. "Maybe. Or maybe we were both waiting for someone to stay." Autumn came, fields turning gold and rust. Most evenings Walter sat on his porch, Sonny at his feet. Sometimes he'd look at the horizon, the same golden hue as Sonny's coat, and whisper, "Thank you for asking for help." Because one ordinary day, a golden retriever named Sonny had done something extraordinary, bringing light back into a quiet life. If Sonny and Walter's story touched your heart, please share it so others can feel this moment too. And if you believe in love, loyalty, and second chances, subscribe to our channel because we have many more stories that will remind you why kindness still matters.